Michael has been suffering from severe insomnia for a long time. I can only fall asleep if I smell the fragrance on me. We've been in love for 8 years and have a great relationship. We're very close every day. After all these years of companionship, his insomnia has finally improved. However, he has forgotten the promise he made to love me forever. He turned around and went to find his first love. I asked him why. He impatiently said, "Emily, I originally got together with you because I like the fragrance on you. If you want to continue following me, you need to be more considerate." What he doesn't know is, the fragrance on me was exchanged with the goodwill I had accrued in advance. If he no longer loves me, I will fail the mission due to the depletion of goodwill and be sent back to the original world, just when I was feeling hopeless. Michael stabbed my heart again. "Emily, I scheduled a sweat gland removal surgery for you in 7 days. As long as you no longer have body scent, Sophia will be at ease. I'm holding the prenatal checkup report from 3 months." I nodded with a bitter smile. What a coincidence. The system tells me to go back in 7 days as well. It's the 8th year with Michael. He can finally get a good night's sleep. Michael promised me that he would propose to me once his insomnia got better. Later, his best buddy called me. I quickly called a taxi, headed straight to that famous proposal spot in the suburbs. I also prepared a surprise for him. I usually feel uncomfortable in a car, but today I was so happy that I forgot everything. I sat in the car for over an hour. I didn't feel uncomfortable at all. After getting out of the car, I was in a hurry to find Michael, but I saw a few familiar yet unfamiliar faces. These are friends of Michael's first love. Sophia, haha, she actually came. Does she think Michael will propose to her? Sophia is a perfect match for a couple like Michael and her, if it weren't for her using special perfume to attract Michael before. How could Michael choose her as his girlfriend? Today, she must understand that she doesn't deserve him. Smack. The lights suddenly turned on, illuminating the 2 people in the center of the stage. Michael was wearing an exquisite custom suit, holding Sophia's hand, walking out from a bush of pink roses. The audience gasped in surprise. I stood there in shock. Not a word could I say. The pink roses on the hillside were just like the dream wedding I once described to Michael. Amidst the cheers from everyone, Michael gently placed the 52-carat diamond ring on Sophia's finger, symbolizing the weight of the soul. I once coquettishly told Michael that when he proposed, he must give me a ring like this, because people say, a ring like this can buy a person's soul. In this way, in this life and the next, the 2 souls can be together forever. But at this moment, Coco saw Michael putting that ring, which she had always yearned for, on Sophia's finger. In that moment, extreme happiness suddenly turned into deep sadness. A bright light suddenly flashed before my eyes. Then, I collapsed on the grass and fainted. As I was about to lose consciousness, I saw Michael rushing over in a panic. He shouted, "Emily, quick, get out of the way, call an ambulance quickly." When I opened my eyes again, everything around me was white. Michael was softly comforting the person on the other end of the phone. I had been by his side for 8 years. I rarely heard him speak in such a gentle tone. I hoarsely asked him, "Michael, you're going to propose to Sophia?" I just asked this one question. Michael immediately hung up the phone, with an impatient look on his face. HMPH, "Emily, a while ago you were always suspicious of me and Sophia. Now I really am with Sophia. Are you satisfied now?" I lowered my head and said nothing. Suddenly, a sharp pain struck my heart. Michael suddenly grabbed my hand. "Emily, you know, I am the heir of the Johnson Group. My wife must be from the same social class as me. Among the people I know, Sophia is definitely not the most suitable choice." What shocked me even more was, she was actually pregnant. This news hit me like a bolt of lightning. It left me completely stunned. Pregnant. I tightly clutched the pregnancy test result in my pocket. "Emily, you should understand." I chuckled bitterly in my heart. I nodded. Michael intensified his attack. He stabbed my heart again. He said, "If it could make you remove all your sweat glands and never have that smell again, you would definitely agree, right?" I spent a lot of money hiring a medical team from abroad. They developed a surgery that can safely remove sweat glands. After all, Emily, you understand, people like Sophia, I could be influenced by her at any moment. This is like a potential threat to her. I have to reassure her. Maybe the wounds run deep enough that I can't feel the pain anymore. I bit my lip hard until it bled. Only then did I finally agree to him. Okay, I need to remember how much it hurts now. Michael heard my answer. He happily took my hand and said, "Emily, I knew you understood me best. and cared about me the most. Don't worry, even if I marry Sophia, you can still stay by my side. I feel uncomfortable inside, but I still smiled and said, really? Then I wish you both a happy marriage. After Michael left, I called out to the system. System, the male lead no longer loves me. The affection points will soon be insufficient. When can I return to my original world? The system's voice coldly echoed in my ear. Host, the male lead's affection for you has been declining for a month straight. If this continues, you will be sent back to your original world within 7 days. Heh, a month ago. That was the day Sophia returned. Host, don't you really want to find a way to increase the male lead's affection if the affection value is too low? Your return to the original world may be affected. Your heart condition will not only not improve, it may even get worse, I'm sure. 8 years ago, my heart condition suddenly flared up. I was in critical condition. Out of necessity, I bound myself to a system to guide the male lead after completing the task. I could receive a reward of 100 million yuan and a healthy heart. But when Michael's affection for me was about to reach 90, he started having sleepless nights. He has been anxious and irritable due to long-term poor sleep, both anxious and irritable. Sometimes I even hurt myself. For his health, I have exhausted all my goodwill. I gathered 1,000 points to exchange for special spices to help him improve his sleep. I asked him before, if the price of curing insomnia is to love me forever, would you be willing? At that time, Michael looked at me with sparkling eyes and said, Emily, I want to love you for a lifetime. What about now? I'm still 500 points short of full goodwill, but he has fallen for the white moonlight, Sophia, who returned from studying abroad. I'm not in good health. I have to take medicine and get injections to protect the pregnancy, to ensure the safety of both mother and child. I brought home a big bag of medicine and syringes, but I saw my mother-in-law's critical expression and Sophia's disdainful look. Oh dear, why is this house so messy? It's dusty everywhere. This soup is also not seasoned properly. The clothes are wrinkled and not ironed. You know how to take care of people. Nothing compares to Sophia, but she forgot. 8 years ago, she was on her knees begging me to marry her son. Sophia looked around the entire villa like a hostess. Then, she slowly walked into the study. That was Michael's studio. No one is allowed in here. I weakly stepped forward to block her, but she laughed at me. HMPH. Don't touch it with those hands, you don't deserve to touch it. It's Michael's stuff. I have nothing that I can't touch. Suddenly, Sophia grabbed my hand and leaned towards the easel with a shift in direction. I fell underneath her as a cushion. Emily, how can you treat Sophia like this? Sophia leaned pitifully against Michael. Brother Michael, I just wanted to admire your painting. But Sister Emily said she is the mistress of the house and wouldn't let me touch it. After hearing this, Michael was furious. He shouted loudly, Emily, everything in this villa belongs to Sophia. She can take whatever she wants. After saying that, he suddenly pushed me away from Sophia by a meter. Then he picked up Sophia and walked away without looking back. Before leaving, he coldly threw out a sentence. The lady will be locked in this room for 3 days. No one is allowed to bring her food or drink. At that moment, I finally saw the paintings in Michael's studio clearly. They were all portraits of Sophia, one after another. It turns out Michael has never forgotten the person in his heart all these years. Suddenly, my stomach began to hurt severely. I knocked on the door desperately, but no one responded. The next day at noon, Nanny Aunt Sarah finally discovered that I was about to collapse. This time, I nearly lost my life. I lay in the hospital for 3 days before I could be discharged. The doctor said, the child in my belly is the strongest one he has ever seen. Having endured so much suffering, it can still live on strongly. I think it's better for this child to leave early. After all, he is just an extra in my belly. The day I was discharged from the hospital, Michael came to see me with a big smile. At that time, I was taking those colorful pills prescribed by the hospital. I looked very unwell, but Michael coldly said I shouldn't pretend. Emily, you don't have to pretend to be hurt to make me feel sorry for you. This trick won't work on me. That night, I was lying in bed. My stomach hurt badly. My forehead was covered in sweat. But Michael suddenly hugged my waist. He leaned in and sniffed me. Emily, stop fooling around. Tomorrow you should apologize to Sophia. This matter will just pass in the future, whether you want children or money. I will give you both. I find it really laughable. I forced out a bitter smile. Michael, do you think that by doing this to me, I will still foolishly wait for you? Michael hurriedly helped me wipe the sweat from my forehead. Emily, You clearly said you loved me. Are you really unwilling to do this little thing for me? Your family background is ordinary. You can't help me much, but Sophia comes from a prestigious family. Everyone thinks I am more suited for her. I feel disheartened. I close my eyes and say nothing, but Michael leans closer. He gently kisses my eyelid. Emily, wait until your surgery is over. I will give you a 52-carat diamond ring. Michael thinks this will make me happy, but now when I look at that diamond ring, it feels as worthless as scrap metal, something I once yearned for, only because it was imbued with the meaning of love. Now that love is gone, there's no longer anything to yearn for in the hospital ward. Sophia lies in bed. Her complexion is rosy. She doesn't look sick at all, but I am weak and frail. My complexion is pale. It seems like a gust of wind could knock me over. I followed what Michael said. I bowed deeply. I sincerely apologized, but Sophia felt I wasn't sincere enough. She said to Michael, "Brother Michael, it seems like Sister Emily is reluctant to apologize. If she doesn't want to apologize, I won't force her." Michael shot me a glare. He wanted me to apologize again. But this time, I didn't want to apologize anymore. It wasn't even my fault to begin with. Once an opportunity is given, there won't be a second chance. But Sophia still held my hand, insisting. She said, "Sister Emily, please don't dislike me. If even you hate me, how can I stay in this house in the midst of the argument?" Sophia suddenly shouted. A bright light flashed through the window. "Oh no, my diamond ring. That is the engagement ring Michael gave me. Emily, no matter how much you envy me, you shouldn't throw away the diamond ring Michael gave me." Slap. A loud slap echoed in my ears. The ward fell silent instantly. "Emily, you are really going too far. I just asked you to apologize to Sophia, but you keep making excuses not to go, and now you're still throwing a tantrum. You lost Sophia's ring. Mr. Johnson, take her to find it. If the ring isn't found today, she shouldn't come back." With Michael's command, the bodyguard beside him dragged me to the artificial lake next to the hospital. The lake is several hundred acres large. The autumn wind is bone-chillingly cold. The lake water is also icy and stinging. Several hours passed. My stomach pain grew worse and worse. But no matter how much I begged them, the bodyguard always has one thing to say. Mr. Michael made it clear. He will no longer be swayed by your tricks. I want to rest. Let's find the diamond ring first. I stayed up until dawn. I was shivering from the cold. I just fished that diamond ring out of the lake. My stomach pain is getting worse. Even my clothes are faintly stained with blood. Walking back to the hospital, I saw Sophia bouncing around in the hospital's back garden. She was hugging a man very intimately. The man said, "Sophia, I heard you've been making things difficult for Michael's little girlfriend lately, putting her in confinement and making her go into the lake to find the ring." Sophia let out a cold laugh. She proudly said, "She is just an eyesore to me. I am the true daughter-in-law of the Johnson family, and her scent helps Michael sleep well. He will definitely look for her again. I can't let that happen. I had someone keep an eye on Emily a few days ago. It turned out she is also pregnant. Michael doesn't know about this yet. In this kind of weather, even if Michael finds out now, the child probably won't be able to be saved." The man suddenly laughed out loud. "It's really ridiculous. Michael couldn't keep his own child, yet he is raising our child. This plot is quite ironic." After saying that, he wrapped his arm around Sophia's waist and walked out of the garden. At that moment, I finally saw the man's face clearly. He was actually the one who called me to the engagement scene before. He is also Michael's good brother, whom he has known for over 10 years. "David," I stared at the voice recorder in my hand. I couldn't help but sneer. Michael would never expect this. He was betrayed by his good brother, whom he had trusted for over 10 years. Suddenly, I felt a warm current on the inside of my thigh. I immediately called out to the system and asked, "System, can we leave tonight?" The system has confirmed it. "We can leave here tonight." I called Michael immediately. "Michael, didn't you say you would perform the sweat gland surgery to reassure Sophia? It's happening today." The hospital staff quickly pushed me from the garden into the operating room. A hurried Michael, still wearing the suit he would wear for his wedding with Sophia in a few days. Michael stared at the blood flowing from beneath me. His face suddenly turned anxious. He grabbed a nearby nurse. He asked with a trembling voice, "Nurse, wasn't it just a minor sweat gland surgery? Wasn't it said that this surgery is very safe?" The nurse nodded and said, "Mr. Michael, please don't worry. We've performed sweat gland removal surgeries many times. The technique is very mature. Generally, it won't have any impact on the body. Hearing the nurse's affirmative answer, Michael finally felt at ease. He pushed me into the operating room with the nurse. "Emily, don't worry. This surgery has been tested many times on mice. It will be fine." I felt a wave of sarcasm inside me. "Michael, for Sophia, you really went to great lengths. The company spared no expense to bring back the biological research team from abroad. But this time, I might become their first failure case in clinical trials." The doctor skillfully injected various drugs into me. The nurse next to me suddenly shouted, "Not good. Her blood oxygen and blood pressure are both dropping. Quick, perform emergency rescue." At that moment, I heard the sound of the system connecting to the original world. At the same time, the ECG emitted a piercing alarm sound. My soul did not immediately disappear after leaving my body. Instead, it lingered for a while. I watched as my body was rescued for several hours. Ribs were being pressed and broken. My body was filled with various tubes, but even so, the doctors still couldn't save me. The lights in the operating room have finally gone out. The rescue was unsuccessful. Michael has been waiting in the hallway. He rushed over as soon as the lights went out. He asked the doctor, "How is Emily? Why hasn't she come out yet?" The expressions of the doctors and nurses were very serious. In the end, the doctor sighed. He announced the results. "Mr. Michael, I'm very sorry. The surgery was unsuccessful this time, although we had done hundreds of experiments in the lab without any issues. But Miss Emily was the first to actually undergo the surgery. There was a case of systemic infection, plus the severe bleeding caused by her miscarriage." So, suddenly, a sound of fireworks snapped Michael back to reality. Pregnant Sophia was surrounded by a few good friends. She came up to Michael. She asked, "Brother Michael, how is Sister Emily doing now? Was the surgery successful?" Sophia took the lead. The sisters around her also chimed in flatteringly. "Brother Michael, congratulations. Finally, you won't be burdened by that nuisance anymore. That person is not worthy of you, Brother Michael. If it weren't for Sophia studying abroad, your girlfriend's position could never be hers." "Exactly, Brother Michael. Now that person is no longer fragrant. Your insomnia has also improved. Hurry up and have the wedding with Sophia. Otherwise, it won't look good when your belly gets big. It won't look good in a wedding dress." Michael ignored the voices around him. He stared blankly at the doctor. "What do you mean? Are you saying Emily has passed away?" The doctor's forehead was beaded with sweat. He hurriedly apologized. "Yes, Mr. Michael." Michael shook his head in a daze and said, "Impossible. I don't believe Emily is really dead. Let me go in and see." Sophia quickly grabbed Michael, who was about to rush in to check. "Brother Michael, don't go. Our child is about to be born. It's unlucky to see a dead person. Besides, Emily is not a good person." Michael listened to Sophia's words. He turned around in disbelief. "Bad woman. How did Emily become a bad woman? What exactly is wrong with her, Sophia? 8 years ago, you saw me having insomnia. You immediately canceled the engagement and flew away. It was Emily who helped me find a doctor." "Sophia, you really disappoint me." After hearing Michael's words, Sophia silently let go of her hand. Michael put on the surgical gown. He slowly walked into the operating room. As soon as he entered, he saw the scene before him. He immediately felt nauseous and wretched. I was lying on the operating table. My abdomen was still not stitched up. It was bleeding and exposed to everyone's view. The cloth on the operating table is stained red with my blood. It makes my face look even paler. Michael's hands are trembling. He touches my face. He looks in great pain. "Emily, you're lying to me, right? How could you possibly be dead?" Michael slowly curls up. He eventually collapses beside the operating table. I stand a meter away, silently watching Michael. Inside, I only feel it's absurd. "Michael, only now do you show your affection. It's too cheap." At this moment, the system's voice sounds in my ear. "Host, there was a problem with the connection to the original world. It seems I will have to wait a few more days to go back." I cast one last glance at my disheveled self on the operating table. I scoffed. "That's fine. Let's see how Michael suffers from insomnia without me." Michael must be tormented by insomnia. After I die, Michael slept for 3 days before waking up. Michael suddenly opened his eyes. He saw his mother with a worried expression. He hurriedly grabbed his mother's hand and asked, "Mom, where is Emily? She's still alive, right? Are you all lying to me?" His mother looked surprised. "Son, what are you talking about? Emily died 3 days ago. Why would we lie to you? Didn't you say before that you hated Emily, that you wanted to divorce her?" And then B, with Sophia, you even made Emily the first test subject for your experiment. Michael painfully recalled the past. That's right. It was him who made Emily the first subject of the experiment. It was him who caused the death of Emily, the one who loved him the most. At that moment, a nurse pushed the door open. She was holding the voice recorder I gave to Michael. Hello, is this Mr. Michael? This is something that Miss Emily specifically requested to be given to you before her passing. Michael's eyes lit up. He immediately took the voice recorder from the nurse's hand. The voice recorder had some static at first. Suddenly, a man said in a flattering tone, Sophia, your trick is really clever, feigning a fall to pull Emily down with her, causing her to have a miscarriage. The first time, she didn't have a successful miscarriage. He threw the engagement ring into the lake again, making her go retrieve it in the middle of the night. It's so cold outside. Eventually, she lost the child. This trick is really ruthless, needless to say, if it weren't for Michael's severe insomnia back then. When it flared up, even his own mother was hurt. How could I possibly let such a good opportunity slip away? Sophia's words were full of pride, but the man's tone was already somewhat displeased. Are you saying it's my fault for affecting your relationship with Michael? How could that be, Brother David? The person I care about the most is you. I'm carrying your child. Don't you trust me yet? A disturbing sound came from the recorder. His mother's expression turned very ugly. Michael covered his face. He said regretfully, What have I done? Emily took the blame for Sophia and made her go fishing for the ring in the freezing cold. She is pregnant. You know, his mother suddenly thought of something. She asked in confusion. The child? How could Emily be pregnant, son? Didn't you say she was born unable to conceive? Michael's expression became even more pained. No, Emily is not incapable of getting pregnant at all. It was my mistake back then. I didn't want her to give birth to a child of the Johnson family with such an ordinary background. His mother was trembling with anger. How could you do this to Emily when you were seriously insomnia? Everyone thought you wouldn't make it. It was Emily who was running around looking for remedies. In the end, it was the special fragrance that saved your life. Michael looked at his mother in disbelief. Seeking medical help nationwide. Emily never mentioned this to me. She said it was a fragrance she was born with. His mother looked disappointed. Michael, you never cared about Emily, did you? Now it's just like your father. Your wife and child have left you. This is all you're doing. His mother finished speaking. She turned and walked out of the hospital room. Michael sat alone on the hospital bed, staring blankly at the voice recorder. After learning the truth, he immediately went to find Sophia. Sophia was trying on wedding dresses with her partner when she saw Michael arrive. She was not surprised at all. She casually said, Michael, big brother, you're here. Help me see how this wedding dress looks. She pouted and said playfully, Michael, big brother, when are we getting married? Both the child and I can hardly wait, she said. She lifted her shirt to show Michael her clearly rounded belly. Michael looked on coldly. He retorted, Oh, really? This child is really mine. Sophia and David beside her were clearly a bit flustered. Sophia quickly calmed down. She said matter-of-factly, Brother Michael, this child is definitely yours. Who else could it be? Don't deny it. I already know the truth. She continued, Brother Michael, have you forgotten while saying this? She was preparing to take out evidence. 3 months ago, in the hotel room, Michael didn't wait for Sophia to explain. He directly pulled out a voice recorder. The recorder slowly played the conversation between them that night. Upon hearing the recording, Sophia suddenly slumped down onto the ground. She cried and begged Michael to forgive her. Brother Michael, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Please let me go. Michael showed no signs of nostalgia. He coldly leaned close to Sophia's ear. Sophia, weren't you worried that my insomnia would be detrimental to you? This time, I'm very clear-headed. I will make you suffer immensely. Sophia could no longer utter words of pleading. She slumped to the ground. All she could do was cry incessantly. Michael walked out of the bridal shop without looking back. After returning, he fulfilled his promise. In less than a month, Sophia and Michael's family's company stock price plummeted. It can barely hold on. Sophia's parents, due to the pressure, came to apologize to Sophia. At this time, Sophia's belly had returned to its original state. Michael, we have already taken Sophia to the hospital to terminate the pregnancy. Be a little magnanimous. For the sake of our past relationship, let the Smith family go this time. Is that okay? Sophia's eyes are severely swollen. There are still obvious handprint marks on her face. It seems she's been going through a tough time lately. She pleaded, Brother Michael, please spare my family. Michael smiled coldly. Speak. All right. Michael threw a diamond ring into the artificial lake behind the Johnson family's villa. Speak. First, fish this ring out. Let me see your sincerity. Sophia has been pampered since childhood. How could she do such hard work? She looked to her parents for help, but they only gave her a warning glance. In the end, she reluctantly got into the water, and during the biting cold, she searched for the ring in the lake. She searched from afternoon until dawn, but the ring was still nowhere to be found. She wanted to take a break, but she was kicked back into the lake by the bodyguard. Sorry, Miss Sophia. The teacher instructed. Today, I couldn't find the ring. Don't even think about getting ashore. Sophia insisted on searching for a few more hours. When dawn was approaching, she finally found the ring. She happily held the ring. She wanted to go find Michael to ask for a favor. Michael just nodded. Speak. All right. The ring has been found. Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, you both can go back first. Sophia's expression turned very grim. She angrily asked. Michael, you clearly said, as long as I find the ring, there wouldn't be any trouble for the Smith family. Why haven't you signed the contract yet? Oh, when did I say I would help the Smith family? I only asked you to find the ring to show sincerity, but you searched for more than 10 hours. It seems you have no sincerity at all. Sophia was so angry she felt dizzy. She almost fainted. In the end, she was supported away by her parents. Not long. The Smith family and the David family were suppressed by the Johnson group. They went completely bankrupt. The Smith and David families owe a lot of money they can't pay back. They had to hide everywhere to escape their debts. Later, one morning I watched the news. It reported that the young lady from the Smith family was caught shoplifting at a supermarket. She was arrested by the police. After I woke up, the doctor had me undergo various tests. The test results said my heart was completely normal. Even the experienced old doctors said they had never seen such a situation. Actually, only I know. This is all because the system is at work. After returning to the original world, I went back to my old line of work. After I left, Michael started having insomnia again. This time it was worse than before. When Michael had insomnia before, he could still stay awake for several hours each day. But now, he can only stay awake for 1 or 2 hours at most each day. He doesn't even have the energy to handle official business. He can only lie in bed, holding my clothes and smelling the scent on them. He locks himself in that studio I can't enter all day. Day after day, he paints my portrait. Every midnight, he would run to the artificial lake in the hospital to find me. Eventually, the hospital sent him to a psychiatric hospital on the grounds of mental issues. At that moment, the system suddenly notified me that the task was completed. Congratulations, host. Michael's favorability soared to 99.99. The task has been achieved. Please choose to stay in the world of the book or return to the original world. I immediately decided to return to the original world, just after making this decision. Michael, who had his eyes closed in the darkness, suddenly opened his eyes. He stared intently in my direction. He reached out his hands and shouted, Emily, don't go. Don't leave me behind. Just as Michael was about to grab me, I suddenly emerged from the world in the book. I slowly opened my eyes. I woke up from the dream. Someone suddenly shouted from the side. It moved. Doctor, please take a look. My sister's finger moved. It's my sister Olivia who's speaking. I opened my eyes and looked around. Everything around me was white. There was also a strong smell of disinfectant. My sister brought the doctor back. I had already sat up from the bed. I was looking around the ward. My sister stood at the door with wide eyes. She shouted excitedly, Sis, you're awake. My sister hugged me tightly. She was crying with tears all over her face. She used to be very strong. She never cried easily. But this time, she cried sadly in front of a stranger. My sister told me, 8 years ago, I had an accident before leaving this world. That accident left me in a vegetative state. The whole family was extremely sad. To take care of me, my parents quit their jobs. My sister also gave up the opportunity to go to school. She went to work to earn money to help the family. Now I hear all this. It makes me feel particularly sad. I regret leaving without saying goodbye back then. I made my family wait for so long. I regret being indifferent to my family after learning about my hard-to-treat heart disease. Being cold towards my family. My parents heard that I woke up. They rushed back to the hospital immediately. The whole family hugged and cried sadly together. Later, I returned to my old profession of fashion design. Previously, in that world from the book, I gave up everything I loved for Michael. I only thought about how to win him over. But in the end, he suddenly passed away. Now I have the chance to return to my original world. I must live my life well. I applied for over 100 jobs like a fresh graduate. I was busy attending various job interviews every day. 1 month later, I finally found a suitable job. I used that 100 million yuan bonus to buy my parents and sister each a new house. I thought everything was slowly getting better, but I ran into Michael at my door. His eyes were red as he stared at me. He asked in a hoarse voice, "Emily, is it really you?" I answered calmly, "It's me." Michael happily pulled my hand and walked out. As he walked, he said, "Come on, Emily. Don't you like me the most? Let's go home. I've already kicked Sophia and David out of New York. No one will disturb you anymore." I forcefully shook off Michael's hand. "Michael, I won't go with you. I no longer love you." He was stunned. He looked at me in disbelief. He still thought that as long as he waved his hand, I would stick to him like before. I stretched my wrist in front of his nose. "Michael, take a whiff. I don't smell like anything now. I can no longer help you with your insomnia. Go find someone else who can cure your insomnia." Michael hugged me tightly. I shook my head vigorously. "No way. Emily, I only want you no matter if there's a fragrance or not. I only want you. Once, you liked me. Now it's my turn to like you." I smiled. "Michael, who said you have to like me? Do I have to like you? This is my world now. I no longer have to cater to you for those task data." Michael held my hand, gently pressed it against my face. His eyes were bright. He whispered, "Emily, trust me. I will prove that my love for you is real." After Michael left, I asked the system. He clearly should be a character in a book. How could he come to the real world? The system answered in a mechanical voice. "Host, Michael made a deal with the main god using his soul. People can continuously reincarnate to gain a new life and identity. But those who trade their souls can never reincarnate. They can only work within the main god system to achieve immortality, yet must endure eternal loneliness. Host, Michael can still stay in this world for 7 days. You can choose to forgive him and return with him to the world in the book, or you can choose the life you want." After hearing all this, I feel nothing. For 8 years, I gave my all to love Michael. Now I am left with nothing but disappointment. Now, he is just a stranger to me. During this time, Michael tried everything. He recreated the proposal scene I longed for, exactly as it was. He prepared for it for 3 days and nights. He also worked hard to earn money and bought me a 52-carat diamond ring. He stayed at my doorstep all day, waiting for me to come out like a homeless puppy. But I already have a new life. Michael's tricks are too childish for me. I could organize 100 proposal ceremonies by myself, each one with different local features and styles. Michael's feelings mean nothing to me. 7 days later, he anxiously waited for my answer in front of my house. But at that time, my family and I had already flown to Switzerland. While my family and I were hiking in Switzerland, the butler sent a video. In the video, Michael was pleading softly, "Emily, I love you. Don't be so cruel. You know, if you don't come back with me, we may never see each other again. We might not even meet in the next life." I haven't finished watching this video. My sister is urging me from the side. "Hey, sis, you're busy with work even while playing. Others might think you're a big shot." I smiled and put down my phone. "Go ahead. Got it. Don't worry. We agreed not to work. Today, I'll just focus on playing with you all." I didn't watch the second half of Michael's video. The butler said, "Michael waited for me all night after posting the video. He didn't even dare to blink. He was afraid of missing me." When I heard this, I didn't feel touched at all. All I could think about was waiting for him at the Johnson family villa before. "Michael, this time, you will take a lifetime to slowly experience the feeling of being abandoned and lonely."